Hey, I'm Kenneth Wajda. I'm a professional photographer here in Colorado. Welcome to another one of my weekly Leica Talks, all things Leica. So today I'm going to talk about tips and tricks for making yourself a great photographer, especially as a Leica photographer. You get yourself a Leica camera, and there are no tips and there are no tricks. There's only work. There's only one way to get good at anything, and that's to do the work. So if you say, I want to learn to be a great photographer, I've got the best camera in the world, and you do, there's nothing else that is standing in your way, except we have to do the work. We have to do the work constantly. And there was a recent post by a friend of mine who's talked about how she doesn't write tips and tricks posts because they're just sort of clickbait. And I completely agree. I think that when you look at what there is for tips and tricks, it's just a way to get you in and try to give you 10 easy ways to excel, but you can't. The only way you get good at anything is by doing it. And the people who want to do it, they can't be stopped. And the people who don't really want to do it, they'll drag their feet and you'll find that they don't really do it. And they have to probably own up to the fact that maybe they don't want to do it that badly. But if you want to be a great photographer, there is no other substitute for going out and shooting every day. And if you have film and you say, well, I can't afford to shoot film, yes, you can. Go out and shoot one roll of film a week. It's the cost of a latte, and it'll end up getting you film that you can process at home. I'm talking black and white. I'm talking processing it for pennies. And there's a way that you can shoot every day. And the point is, you must. If you are that dedicated, if you are that driven to being a photographer and you want to work, you've got to make this thing an extension of your body and make it so that you can just go out and work and work and work. And the quantity that you make, the quantity is what makes it good. The number of words a writer writes, the number of paintings the painter paints, the number of hours that a musician puts into making music and learning that instrument. It's all time. Time makes things possible. And I'm a big fan of saying it would be better to work every day at lunch hour for 20 minutes than it would be to go out and once a month do an 8-hour day. Because you forget things. But when you work every day, you don't forget those things. The things that were able to drift away after the 8-hour block a month later, every day those things all stay with you. And you end up using those things in a fresh way. So there's no substitute there's no trick, there's no tip. The only thing I can suggest is go out and do the work. And you'll see your work get better. You'll see the photographs you're making, you'll see them improve because it's a natural progression that the more you work with something, the more you learn ideas and try things, and you get bored with old ways, so you try new ways. So there are no tips, there are no tricks. There's just work. And go out and make photographs. This is a tool that is the best tool in your hand that you can make anything with. So it's just a matter of going out and doing it every day and finding no excuses and getting rid of any kind of a reason why you can't go. Just go. And if you find you aren't going, then maybe own up that you aren't going to be a photographer and you don't want to be a photographer, because the people who want to do it, they do it. And I'll end this with a story about Matt Damon, who was talking at an actor's studio, and somebody raised their hand in the audience and said, do you think I could be an actor? And he said, absolutely not. Because if you have to ask, there are many people ahead of you who don't have to ask. And the fact that you're asking tells me you're not as driven as the person who doesn't need to ask. So do you want to be a photographer? You can be. If you're asking the question, maybe you can't be. All right, that's today's photography talk. If you're enjoying these, hit the subscribe button. If you can support, hit the Patreon, and I'll be back next week. And we'll talk more like a talk. As always, here's the good light.